Welcome to 2022, subtitled Electric Boogaloo. I'm one of your hosts. I am the sparkling, but not sparkling in a Twilight vampire sort of way, sparkling in a good way, like lemonade on a cold summer's day. I don't know what I'm talking about, but I'm Brian Agent, and welcome to another ridiculous episode of Stace Barry in the morning. And I guess that means you want to meet the other half, not the other half as in my wife, but the other half as in my podcasting wife. God, this is the worst and longest intro I believe I've ever done. Stace.
We've fallen out of the habit of hosting because Christmas happened and technology happened, and we're both essentially just a bit crap.
Yeah.
No, neither of us know what we're doing. Sorry. Hello. Happy New Year-ish.
I think the thing was, it's kind of like we always knew we didn't know what we were doing, but we always used to do it with style. Whereas now we just don't know what we're doing.
Pizzazz. Whereas now I'm just too tired for pizzazz.
Yeah.
I've got just like piz instead.
Yeah. And instead of all sass, I feel like someone's just dropped the S away. You know what I'm saying?
Sa.
No, if you drop the S from sass, you get arse. Come on.
I know, I was doing a bit, but it didn't land.
and circling back around to the we don't know what we're doing.
Yeah. That's that football chanting it. You don't know what you're doing. That's me, that is. Yeah. Hey, how about a podcast? How have you been? Merry Christmas.
How about that podcast today? What about that podcasting lark?
I know what I'm doing. Come on now.
How was my Christmas? Yeah, my Christmas was good. Do you know what? I can't even remember what I did at Christmas.
Well, I had a sad COVID Christmas, not because I had COVID, but because nearly everybody else I knew had COVID. So, like, all of my Christmas and New Year's plans got cancelled. And so I just sort of, like, did a lot of jigsaws, cross-stitch, and drank a lot and watched a few movies. So it was still pretty good. It was just, like, different than what I was anticipating.
We've just got our first jigsaw puzzle, Sue and I, in like years and years. I haven't done a jigsaw puzzle in years. I don't actually think I've ever finished a jigsaw puzzle, and I've certainly not done one with Sue. So we've got one to sort of help de-stress and whatever. And what I'm realising is jigsaw puzzles are fucking stressful.
Yeah, I was going to say de-stressing is maybe not. Maybe jigsaw, maybe no to a jigsaw. When I was younger, I had a list of things I wanted to do before I was 30. And one of them was to complete a 1,000-piece jigsaw by myself. Because at the time, I was like, I can't believe I'm like 22 or whatever. Finished a jigsaw ever because I'm just that much of a quitter. And then I picked up a 1,000-piece Doctor Who puzzle, and I regretted every decision I'd ever made because it was essentially just blue. It's just all blue. It was just the night sky and a TARDIS. I'm a fucking idiot. What am I doing? Oh. I did it though, and I took a photo of it and I put it in a book of things that I did before I was 30, which was not many things.
You then burnt the jigsaw puzzle like Luke at the end of Return of the Jedi.
Yeah. Well, my man was like, you should glue that together and frame it. And I was like, scan in the bin, or charity shop, I don't give a fuck. I'm mad at it now. Don't want it. Get out of my life, TARDIS.
It's like I went through, I'm in this phase at the moment of trying to decide whether or not I want to buy like a Lego kit.
Yeah.
You know, like one does, you can get like some real fancy Lego now. And I said to Sue, like, I am interested, but I'm a bit torn. And she's like, well, I'm like, well, to be honest, I've got no space for it. So even if I built it, where am I going to put it? And she said, well, no, but you could, it's not about that. She said, you could build it and then you just take it down. And I'm like, and then what? She's like, well, then you could give it to someone else. I'm like, but why would I do that? I'm building it because I want it to be on display. That just to me feels like I'm going to make a building, then blow it up and go, well, did that then.
Job done.
Done then.
Rich had like a big Batmobile one that took him ages to put together, and then I think he had it on display for all of about 2 weeks before he was like, this is impossible to dust, and just broke it down again, and now it's still just in a box in pieces.
I think somewhere there's like a Kickstarter or something waiting to be done, which would be like Lego Swapsies or something, where like you build up your Lego piece and then once you're done with it and you then ring a number or something, and then some blokes turn up in a van, and then you hand it to them, and then they hand you another set of Lego, and then you sort of carry on that way.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I feel like that's probably already being done somehow.
It probably is. There's probably like a Lego swap subreddit or something where people are like, oh, "Give me that sweet Lego." Yeah, probably. Anyway, how about let's do a segment?
How about we do a flipping segment? I miss trumpets.
Oh. I never know what I'm going to do when I start doing a trumpet, and oftentimes it doesn't really land, but I try, so.
It always lands.
Oh, thanks, mate. What segment do you want to do first?
How about we do Saturday morning comics?
Oh, go on then. Take it away, B.
So my Saturday morning comics. So I have recently, I say recently, it was Christmas when I actually finished watching it, was the new Hawkeye series on Disney Plus.
Mm.
Did you see it? Did you like it?
I saw it. I loved it.
Good.
Yep.
So, like yourself, I saw it. I absolutely loved it, far more so than I was expecting to, and I was expecting to enjoy it. But what I wasn't actually expecting was how much I really enjoyed Kate Bishop's character in it.
Yeah.
And what I realized is, other than there was a really famous trade, which is I think it's called Hawkeye: My Life as a Weapon or something. I can't remember now, by Matt Fraction, which some of this is kind of taken from the TV series. Anyway, I picked up a trade called Hawkeye Anchor Points, which is it collects the first 6 issues of a run of Hawkeye. But in this, Hawkeye is Kate Bishop.
Yeah.
And it's about her heading out to Los Angeles and starting up her own PI business.
Mm-hmm.
And it's great.
It is.
It's absolutely... Have you read it?
Yeah, I read it back when it was Floppies times. What's the when it was originally released? When it was Floppies times.
Not even a phrase, State.
I know words.
Yes. So yeah, which makes sense because looking at it, it came out in 2016.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's lovely. I really, really enjoyed it, and because I've got Kindle Unlimited, yeah.
The confidence behind that.
No, the confidence of the man, the swagger of the man. Yeah, because I got Kindle Unlimited, it was free.
Nice.
Which they do, which is quite a lot of free comics on Kindle Unlimited. The problem with Kindle Unlimited is it's so badly organized that you kind of have to know what comic you want, and you have to know that it's free on Kindle Unlimited. I just found it really difficult to find. It's not really a place you can sort of go, and it's all just listed quite nicely. But anyway, that's a minor gripe aside. Yeah, it's really good. So yeah, it's written by Kelly Thompson, who I think she wrote a couple of Captain Marvel trades, which I actually quite enjoyed. I'm just making that up now. And the illustrator is Leonardo Romero. And I want to give a shout out to the letterer, which is really annoying because it's really difficult to find. I should have prepped better. But mystery letterer, whoever you are, you were great because the lettering in it is really good. Just the way they have these sort of freeze panels where she's kind of looking around, and it's got the different sort of labels of the different characters around it. And it's just really funny. I just thought it was really funny, really sassy. And it went to show just how good a job they did with Kate Bishop in the live action show. Because
she was great.
It just felt like exactly the same character.
Yeah, I love Kate Bishop as Hawkeye. Like, I'll probably get murdered by several people on the internet for saying this, but I prefer her to Clint. Sorry, Clint. So I was really excited for the TV show anyway, but It has made me really want to reread some of these books because I remember really enjoying them at the time. There's bits that stick in my mind of where she's sort of scanning her surroundings, and there's
Yeah.
like really sensible bits where it's like, oh, you know, this guy looks like he might be concealing a knife, and like this guy's doing this, but then other bits are just like, oh, look at these pecs.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, man with abs.
Yeah, wonderful abs. Yeah, it really tickled me.
I think I'm just looking at one of the spreads where she's looking down the street and it's high, and the letter is highlighting the different points. It's got fire escape, street lamp, frat boy 1, frat boy 2, frat boy 3, shouty woman, dumpster.
To be fair, she was a shady woman.
Yeah. And I won't spoil it, but there's a great cameo in the first trade that just works so well.
Nice.
Saturday morning comics. Nailed it.
Lovely. I read a comic. It just suddenly dawned on me as you were talking that I actually read a comic for like the first time in ages, because my brain's been a bit mush lately, so I don't really read many comics anymore. But because I've just thought of it, I haven't prepped anything good to say about it, so I'll just say, if you've ever read any Safely Endangered comics, aren't they great? And also, if you haven't, you should, because they're really funny.
Never
It's
heard
like
of it.
it's like so Safely Endangered is like a sort of 4-panel comic strip type setup, but it's like the jokes are like either really dark or really stupid. There's no like there's no like middle ground. So like as an example, and this will lose all of the translation in terms of me trying to describe a comic to you, but there's one where it's like 2 turtles and one of them's reading a book that's like how to ninja, and the other one's like, oh, what are you doing? And he's like, leave me alone, Janice, it's nothing to do with you. And then it cuts to the last panel and he's stuck on his back and he's like, Janice, help. It's just really stupid things like that that really made me laugh. So check that out. I don't remember who it's by, but I got the book for Christmas and I read it and it was good.
I quite like the sound of that.
It was funny. I have to send you a few little screenshots because they do really tickle me. There's a great one where it's like Kirby goes to the doctor and the doctor's like, open wide. So Kirby opens his mouth, and of course, because Kirby's like a little vacuum character, he sucks up the doctor. So then he comes out in the doctor's outfit and he's like, Sharon, send in the next patient. It's just really silly. Anyway, yes, good fun times.
Time for another segment.
It is time for another segment.
Segment. Nice.
I'm gonna say musical musings, but I'm gonna make you go first because I had a little panic earlier because I thought, what if me and Barry pick a song from the same thing? So I wrote down 2 things. So I need to see what you say first before I can figure out what I'm gonna go with.
I bet, because I've written down 2 things, and I bet neither of the 2 things are linked to your things.
Have we just got 4 things this time?
We've got 4 things. 4 musical musings.
It's a bonus bumper musical spectacular.
But I think I'm only gonna pick one for the
drama
purposes for the purposes this dramatic presentation.
Oh, okay.
So have you been watching Around the World in 80 Days with David Tennant?
But I kind of want to. I just haven't got around to it.
You get around to it. I see what you did there. Get around to watching the rounds. Hey, no flies on you. Hey.
Not right now, anyway.
So I'm watching it. I'm really enjoying it. I'm actually not binging it, which is really unlike me. I'm kind of watching it every week when it comes on BBC, even though it's on BBC iPlayer and you can watch them all. I've been enjoying like the cliffhangers and stuff like that. It feels like a proper old school sort of adventure. And the theme is done by Hans Zimmer.
Oh, okay.
In conjunction, exactly. In conjunction with someone else, which really I should have.
See, Barry, you're gonna have to start being like me and writing everything down because your memory's terrible. Because that's what I do.
Me being a podcast and all that, you'd think I'd know. Hans Zimmer and Christian Lundberg.
Okay, never heard of that person.
And it's also it's fantastic. The main theme is fantastic, and it gets reused a lot throughout the episodes. It worked in different ways, and it worked really well. And also the sort of opening credits that go with it as well. It's just perfect, and it really sets that tone that this is like a proper old school adventure. And it reminds me of his Dark Materials opening sort of credits and theme. It has that kind of feel. You just know you're watching a show that really you should be watching on a Sunday night with your feet up.
Yeah, nice.
It's a corker. That's my one.
I love that term. Excellent. I've just made the split-second decision to just sort of bump one of mine down to an honourable mention. The one that I thought we might clash on was I'd picked a track off the Hawkeye TV soundtrack by Christoph Beck with Michael Paraskevas, I think is how you pronounce that, which was Action at the Auction, which is a great, fun sort of orchestra romp of action. But what I'm actually going to pick is a rock song for a change. If I had been watching Peacemaker, which I definitely haven't, I would have seen that in an episode they had a song by a band what I like called Ban Camaro, and I definitely haven't seen it or heard it, but I imagine if I had, I would think that the song just fit perfectly with the sequence that it was to, which gave me a bit of a renewed love for Ban Camaro, and the song's called Push Push Lady Lightning. Peacemaker's so it's James Gunn, so obviously the music is like a whacking great part of the show that I definitely haven't seen.
Right.
Yeah. And it's all sort of like butt rock and dad rock and glam rock and rock. So yeah, it's like the soundtrack is like Rich has been blasting the theme tune. If you haven't seen it, James Gunn shares like a video of the opening credits.
I've seen the opening credits.
It might be one of the best things I've ever seen in my life. Like, anybody who chooses to skip the intro on Peacemaker cannot be trusted, is something that I've decided, based purely on obviously only having seen that clip that James Gunn has put up on his Twitter, of course.
Yeah.
But yeah, Push Push Lady Lightning, it's a fucking rocking banger of a tune. That's a good time.
Cool.
So there you go.
Nice.
Let's get those trumpets out again.
Hit it. That was a real roller coaster, because it felt to me like when it started, it was like someone going, I don't know how to play this musical instrument. But then as it went on, it was like, I've got this. No, you got this. And then suddenly you were like flying. So yeah, that was a real odyssey of musical trumpets. Thanks, Stace.
Thank you for the compliment.
You're the best around. Nothing's gonna
ever bring you down. The best
around.
What's your pick of the fortnight,
crap rock, hey?
B, what's your pick of the fortnight?
Ghostbusters Afterlife. I'm out. Boom.
Okay. That was swift.
Dropped Proton Pack. I'm out.
Nice.
I watched Ghostbusters Afterlife over the weekend, and I actually genuinely wasn't prepared for how much I enjoyed that film.
Oh, good.
Yeah, really.
That sounded really, really condescending. Like, Barry, what a lovely time.
Yeah, good for you. Getting out there, making a difference.
Yourself.
Yeah. Watching films, great. Have you seen it?
I have.
What did you think?
I don't want to say because I don't want to harsh your buzz.
Oh, well, it's too late now. You've already harshed it, haven't you? Because I
really hated it.
Did you?
Yeah, I did. For many reasons that are too spoilery for me to go into now, and also because, like I say, I don't want to harsh your buzz. But I really wanted to like. My review of it on Letterboxd was, if you'd have told me in 2014 that I would prefer a Ghostbusters movie with Melissa McCarthy in it than one with Paul Rudd in it, I would have laughed in your face, but here we are.
Wow.
I love Paul Rudd, and even he couldn't save it for me.
Wow. Well, I think that just...
I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. I think it just goes to show that we have different opinions on things.
Yeah.
But no, I did. I stand by my convictions. I really enjoyed it. I much preferred it to the Melissa McCarthy one. And I thought that was all right. I wasn't one of those people that was just going, this is the worst thing ever. and it's killed the Ghostbusters. I just thought it was all right, and it was quite forgettable. I think for me, what I loved about this one is it reminded me of and maybe there's a difference, I don't know. It reminded me of the kind of films that I watched when I was a kid. So I think because of that, the pacing is different. The style of it felt different. It felt very much like an 80s film.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't. It was kind of it was a reboot and a sequel, and I think that's what I liked about it. Melissa McCarthy one. It was kind of pick a lane. What you're trying to do, and I think what some people forget. I remember going to see Ghostbusters at cinema, and genuinely some of the bits of it being a little bit scary when I saw it.
Library Ghost, man, it's still
Ghost,
scary.
Yeah. and it was comedy, but it was like it was a supernatural adventure / comedy. It wasn't a straight up supernatural comedy. Whereas I think for me, one of the things that I struggled with the new Ghostbusters were actually they kind of ditched that bit of it, and it was just a supernatural comedy. There was nothing remotely that made you feel slightly on edge, and even though they're trying to say the world's going to end, you just didn't get that vibe. Whereas I think in the first Ghostbusters, I always remember the bit in the cinema, because even in my cinema, people were chanting Ghostbusters and all that. When there's a bit where the car's driving down like New York, and they've got like a police escort, and it has a shot of the building, and it's got all clouds gathering around it, and then it shows like a load of priests basically doing like the last rites and stuff. And I remember as a kid watching it going, "Fuck,
shit's going down."
Shit is on, and they're playing the music, saving the day, saving the day. I was like, this film is. My life doesn't get any better than this, is what I felt at the time. And I felt the Melissa McCarthy one kind of squandered that side of it.
See, I think for me, and this might be a little bit what sort of coloured my experience of this new one as well, is I wasn't anticipating when I went to see the 2016 one how much seeing female Ghostbusters was going to blow my tiny Stacey mind. Because like when I was a kid, me and my sister were huge fans of Ghostbusters. We had proton packs and traps, and we'd run around the house throwing them at my granddad as though he might be a ghost. And just probably really getting on his tits.
No, probably and so,
like,
it.
Yeah, I was not anticipating going to see it and being like, shit, women in Ghostbusters, oh God. And like, I think the other thing that helped me with that as well was around about that time, there was like a handful of IDW comics that were set across, like Ghostbusters and Turtles comics that were set across different universes. So like the real Ghostbusters were crossing over with the IDW Ghostbusters, who were crossing over with the movie ones, who were crossing over with the 83 cartoon Turtles. Like it was like a sort of parallel universes type multiverse thing. And so in my head, like I wasn't bothered that there wasn't too much of a link to the previous Ghostbusters, because in my head I was like, well, this is just a different Ghostbusters, like it's fine. It's just a different, it's like this multiverse, this is how the Ghostbusters came about kind of thing.
Yeah.
So like I think my brain was much more just kind of like, oh God, I'm seeing women busting ghosts and it's so good. Whereas this one, for me, kind of felt like, oh, do you remember Ghostbusters though? And I'm like, well, yeah. I do.
Well, I think taking your point about the Mr. McCarthy Ghostbusters, I think my thing with it is that it was, like I said, it was part of it was the tone. It just never really felt. Oh no, that's what I was going to say. There was one bit where I actually thought this is what I wanted all along. And it's right at the end, after they have that big over CG battle.
Yeah.
Which had some good moments, but it just didn't, as I said, didn't really feel. It's because there was no crowd. There was no onlookers. Do you know what I mean? There was nothing to really show you that actually the world was in peril. It was just, they were just having a bit of a dust up in the street. But it's a bit where one of them, the main sort of Ghostbuster, I can't remember her name in the it's Kirsten Wiig is a real name, I think. And she falls into like this hole, like basically a pit to hell or whatever. And what I loved about it is that without thinking, like Melissa McCarthy dives in after her.
Mm-hmm.
and then tells the other one to tie it off, and she dives in to get her and stuff. And then that was the bit where I was like, and I loved that scene because I always loved that proper friendship stuff. And I was like, this is what I wanted all the way through it. Just every so often, just to take it a bit more seriously, because then.
Now you've said that, I can see why certain clanging things would really resonate with you in the new one.
Yeah.
Try not to spoil.
But anyway, that was my pick of the fortnight.
Excellent. I'm probably gonna want to I do want to talk to you about the spoilery stuff later, not on air. But also, I don't want to be like, oh well, this is why I think it was shit. Went to somebody who enjoyed it, because I don't want to I'm trying so hard to be like, it's fine that I disliked it and that you liked it. Yeah. It doesn't matter. I don't want to convince you that it's bad.
And I don't want to convince you.
I do not want to take away from your enjoyment of it. So I'll just shut my face and tell you what my pick of the fortnight was.
You do that.
My pick of the fortnight is actually from a good month ago, but I do not care because we haven't recorded since I've seen it. And it's still blowing my tiny mind so many weeks after I've seen it, which is Spider-Man No Way Home.
Oh.
I'm gonna I'll just contain this to a non-spoiler review because I am blatantly going to want to do a special episode of The Parlour purely about this film. But how beforehand I was wanging on all the time about how annoyed I was that the trailers were revealing too much and all the actors were saying too much on the internet, and I blocked everything on Twitter because I was like, I don't want to hear any more about it, you're going to ruin it for me. Oh my God, even though I knew 95% of what was coming, I still cried more than once in the cinema, proper blarted. I laughed my face off. I had an amazing time. I was grinning from ear to ear. It was just it's somehow, and my expectations were high because my anybody who follows me on Letterboxd can see my rankings of the Marvel movies, and the top two films are Homecoming and Far From Home. So, I am a Spider-Man nut. So my expectations were already very high, and somehow it just exceeded them. I came out of it and I was like, Rich, that was good. Can we see it again? I want to see it again. And he was like, well, no, we've got to get a sandwich and go home. I'm like, oh, bit rubbish. But yeah, it's just I'm sure everybody who cares to have seen it has probably seen it by now. But if you haven't and you're on the fence, get off the fence. Go and fucking see it because it's rad.
I have to say that I enjoyed the other two Spider-Man, but you know this anyway.
Yeah.
I'm kind of the ilk that I've just seen too many Spider-Man films now.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd kind of gone into it. There was something at the back of my mind that told me I needed to go and see this.
Yeah.
Which was enough to make me go to the cinema. And I think this is the first time I'd gone to the cinema since this whole madness apocalypse thing kicked off. And I was so glad that I did. And like you said, I was so glad that I did. Even knowing some of the stuff that I knew going in, and even guessing some of the stuff that I was fairly confident was probably going to happen, even knowing all of those things, it's almost just bear with me, it sounds really weird. It's almost like saying someone tells you the ingredients to a chocolate cake.
Yeah.
However, when you eat that chocolate cake, it's still goddamn tasty. Mm-hmm. And the fact that you knew what was in it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I can. I get where you're coming from.
So it's a weird analogy. I get that.
No, it makes sense.
It was brilliant, and for me, it's definitely. I forgot. I was going to say Tom Hardy. No, that's not his name. Tom Holland.
Tom Holland.
Yeah, it's definitely his best turn as Spider-Man.
Oh, mate, honestly, he broke my tiny heart several times.
Yeah, it was, and also as well, what was great about it was it felt like it was his movie, and I say this because of the fact that it had Doctor Strange in it.
Yeah.
But it very much felt that he was the co-star. Whereas I think with some of the other ones, I didn't necessarily get that in the same way.
Mhm.
It almost felt like, we need to stick in Iron Man because, just to kind of give it a little bit of oomph and get people watching if they see Iron Man. It didn't feel that in the same way. It felt like you needed to have Doctor Strange in there because of the kind of story that you were doing and blah, blah, blah. And yeah, I thought it was brilliant. And I can't even... It is one of those films you literally can't say anything.
No, like that's why I'm going to have to do... Yeah, that's why I'm going to have to do like a special episode where I can just blather, because I think this is the first time for a really long time, not like obviously COVID notwithstanding, that I've come out of the cinema like that jazzed for a comic film. Like it really felt like a comic book event film that I was like I came out and I was like, holy shit. And I think, like, to be honest, it's been since like Deadpool maybe was the last time I came out of the cinema like literally punching people. I was that jazzed.
Yeah.
I need to stop punching people when I get excited. Poor Richie's elbow, me there just going, did you see that bit? Did you see that bit? It's good, wasn't it?
I was a little bit like that next to see. Just rocking in my chair.
Yeah, I was like a tiny child person. I just couldn't contain my excitement.
But she loved it. She loved it as well. There's a couple of bits she teared up and stuff. And I'm far more the comic person, but she absolutely loved it. And a lot of the sort of references and nods and stuff that I thought would come out, and I'd then kind of have to explain to kind of give it the extra. Oh, and did you realise she's just like, got that. So that's something it did such a good job of tying so much together, and for it not just feeling like fan service, but actually a coherent story. It's not ending on a downer.
That was my pick of the fortnight then. Hey, it was good though. It was good though. I love me some Spider-Man. I got excited as well because we got to see the Sonic 2 trailer on the big screen when we were there.
Nice.
Oh my God, it looks so good. Idris Elba's gonna be Knuckles and it's gonna be rad. I'm very excited.
Originally, I was going to be Knuckles, but I was busy. Scheduling conflicts, but Eldridge stepped in. Fair play.
You decided this podcast was more important.
That's right. Than playing
being Knuckles.
in Sonic the Hedgehog 2. But yeah.
Mate, I'd have played Knuckles if they'd have asked me. Fucking hell.
I think that might
no offence, mate. Sod you.
That might have been a completely different tone if you could play Knuckles instead of Eldridge Elba.
Can you imagine? Knuckles just rolls up. He's like, hello, it's me. Knuckles, do you want to fight? Everybody's like, what is happening?
Hey, there's always delete scenes.
Yeah, man. I will have to try and do that thing, where people like overdub films with their own stupid voices.
Yeah,
that'll definitely work with this stupid voice. On that note,
shall we?
A long time.
Yes.
Should we do a 21 skadoosh? Hey, everybody, we love you. Happy New Year, and that. I ran out of steam on my outro. If you want to get in touch with us, Twitter's probably the best place. Barry's Geek Syndicate. I'm Stacey's Parlour. Or you can send us an email at staceandbarry@gmail.com. Have a lovely rest of Saturday, or whatever day you're listening to this, depending on your priorities. Definitely prioritise us higher next time.
Yes.
Jeez.
Especially
I'm very offended.
You are.
Yeah, you. And on that note, bye everyone. Mwah.
Haters. Bye all.
Mwah. Is that too many kisses? It's creepy.
It's just the right amount.
Just enough.
Enough. Just enough creep.
Just enough total weirdness.